All right, great. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. I got Rumble Studio set up today. That's why we're a little early. Good morning. Okay, so I'm coming through on YouTube, it looks like. Pepitoshi LaQ saying, good morning. Let me make sure everything looks good. It's the first time I've used this platform, so it's the first time. It says I'm live. Great news. But it screwed up the thumbnail, didn't it? It didn't give me my right thumbnail. I see. Hey guys, just so you know, I'm setting up the Rumble Studio broadcast this morning. That's why I'm a few minutes early. We're just getting the quality up a little here. Sound working now, Jeffy? Good. Good. Yeah, I just hadn't hit the sound button. It's a new, cockpit here, a new dashboard for me. So this is what I did not want to do. We hear you loud and clear. Great. Let me see if my Rumble, because I should be on 2 Rumble channels. And I don't know how it looks on Twitter either. It says I'm live. That's good news. Who's afraid of space nukes? Okay, good. But it doesn't give me, okay, I see. That's a bit of a bummer. Just 1 second. We had a little bit of fun Michael Jackson playing in the next room, but all right, Pepitoshi LaQ first up today. Yeah, guys, I'm setting up this stream, so I'm trying to figure it out. But people are pouring in. What I don't understand right now, anyway, is why Rumble, even though this is a Rumble Studio production, is giving me a big 0 on whether or not I'm live. No, it says I'm there, and it says I've got 29 viewers, but it says 0 up here, which makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. That's okay, though. All right, but it says I'm running live on everything. I'm supposed to be able to get live chat from everything. If someone from the Rumble could just put just write something in the comments to see if I'm getting comments from there. It says I'm live on 2 channels, the Bitcoin Magazine channel as well as the Breakup channel. It says there's currently, okay, yeah, French Fry is saying greetings from Central Florida, howdy from Alberta, but I don't believe it's coming on. Yeah, it's not coming into my live chat for some weird reason, nor is Rumble Studio apparently able to register any Rumble viewers. So I don't know what's going on over there. I will get to that later. Part of the design of this is so that I don't have to go to 2 places for comments, but whatever. We'll figure it out. It's a first time. We're doing it live. We're going to do it live. B for victory. Oh, no. I'm still here. I just don't know. Oh, no. This sucks. So when I click on your comments, I can't put them on the screen. It sends me, for some reason, to your user page. Let me see if I can, how I put these over. Oh, there we go. I got to pin them, though. It says I got to pin them. I don't really want to pin them. I just want to show them. Pin on timer. Yeah, there we go. So they're on 1-minute timers now. So then I won't forget it. That's, I guess, decent. All right. Okay, so we're going to get into everything in a second. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I know this is boring. We came a little early to do it, just to make sure things were working. But here's the thing. I needed to sign up my own Rumble studio. So it's currently being broadcast on 2 Rumble channels. All right. So we're on the Breakup Rumble channel as well as the Bitcoin Magazine live channel. So those who watch it on Bitcoin Magazine live, I want you to start training yourself to watch it on the other Rumble channel. So for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be running it on 2 Rumble channels. And eventually, once I get enough of an audience moved over to the other Rumble channel, then I'll probably stop putting it on the Bitcoin Magazine channel. But only if I get enough people and whatever. I don't want to leave anyone out of the loop here. I don't want to make it hard to find. But that's what we're going to be doing. I like counting subscribers on my own channels as a dopamine hit. So I want my own Rumble channel to grow, right? Why not? I see. Okay, everyone. Great. We're going to skip good mornings this morning. We're going to acknowledge that the sun is up. We got maximum sunrise tech, guys. And Bitcoin's running. So all that's left for us to do is talk about what's new. And there's a lot that's new. So let's get some Moscow time out of the way, guys. I gotta get my outfit ready, right? Gotta look good in the morning. Pajama wear is excellent for sharing the news. You know that. You all know that. All right, everyone ready? We got some good ones. The New York Times writes, why the case against Fani Willis feels familiar to Black women. Right? In interviews, professional women were dismayed by the personal attacks on the Georgia prosecutor, but they weren't surprised, right? This is stupid Republicans again, not civilized, dumb. This one's great. I've told you many times that Canada is the dumbest place in the world. But they're going to do us a big favor right now as Bitcoiners, right? And the favor is, you know how people always ask you, how are you going to build the roads? What are you going to do with no government and no taxes? How are you going to build the roads? Remember the old, how are you going to build the roads? Who's going to build the roads, right? The stupidest thing you can ever hear when you talk about getting rid of the IRS, the dumbest thing. You know, you could tell them that in a time when we didn't have income tax, the cities were more beautiful. And go to Hungary, they didn't build any of that stuff in Budapest with income tax. That never happened, right? But how you build the roads, right? That always was their big thing. But Canada has decided they're just going to abdicate that, right? So this is from CBC News. No kidding. Environmental Minister Stephen Guilbeault says the federal government will stop investing in new road infrastructure. They don't build roads in Canada anymore. And, you know, it's okay. The country's only 10 million square kilometers or, you know, whatever, 7,000 square miles. It's just the second largest country in the world, a little bit smaller than Antarctica, We don't need roads. What are you talking about? Walk, he says, walk. He's right on. He's going to save the world. Stephen Guilbeault. Feds will stop investing in new road infrastructure. No more roads. So the good news for us Bitcoiners is in Canada, they're not going to say, who's going to build the roads? What going to do with the road? We're going to build them. Well, not the government. They're out of the game. It's awesome. It couldn't be better. It's perfect. It absolutely is perfect. So we got more. You know how I've been talking a lot about the people who might have bothered you at one time, but then once you understood with the architecture of deceit and the machinery of the fog of war machine, right? Once you understood who these people were, they're kind of just funny now, right? So we're going to talk about space lasers in a minute and space nukes, but I just want to share, before I get into everything, what Adam Kinzinger, you know, he was a big contributor to the January 6th inquiry, right? Adam Kinzinger was one of those Republicans that hates Donald Trump, right? Here's what, you know, you could call it an opinion. You could call it his opinion or something else. But here's what he wrote yesterday. Let me say this. In 12 years of Congress, I've never seen a statement like Mike Turner put out. And I've never known Mike to be dramatic or using these serious issues for anything but serious reasons. If he's concerned, I'm concerned. Jose, Canadians are definitely still the dumbest people on earth. There's no doubt about it. It's impossible to see it otherwise, right? It's just not, there's no possibility. Richard reminds us also that the New York subway was built privately. Who's going to build the roads? Who's going to build the roads? What are they going to do about the roads? So I had some good reviews on my Janet Yellen impersonation yesterday, right? I had some pretty good reviews. I'm going to try it again. I can't really get the New York piece into it, but this is excellent. Okay, so she went on to the CBS News, who just fired Catherine Herridge. We were talking, they had fired all kinds of people, right? They fired all kinds of people. But they had enough left over to interview Janet Yellen. And remember, we were going to do our special Moscow Time subcategory of people carrying water for Joe Biden. It's one of my new favorites, right? Biden is great. He's so smart, right? Here's what Janet Yellen said, okay? Janet Yellen went on TV yesterday to say this, all right? And again, I'm telling you, it's the greatest subgenre of Moscow Time ever. I never want it to end. I want Joe Biden to make it to November. He must make it to November because we'll be deprived of this type of content if he doesn't make it. And we need it. We need it. All right. So this is Janet Yellen. Okay. One of the great enemies of Bitcoin. This is her. These are some of her other opinions. Okay. This is who we're up against. All right. This is who we're up against. So she says, the special counsel calling Joe Biden a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory is very unfair, according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She contrasts that Biden he's at the top of his game. She says he's at the top of his game, okay? He understands the issues. He's articulate in framing responses, not just talking from notes, but in real time, interacting effectively with what his counterparts put on the table. Yellen continued. She had more. He has deep understanding of the issues. And I think what the special counsel said was very unfair. It was very unfair. President Biden is a very effective and thoughtful leader. We're lucky to have his leadership. Yes, Janet. We love you. Don't go anywhere, Janet Yellen. Keep fighting for fiat. We need you. We need you in the fight. If we don't have Janet Yellen, don't audit the Fed. Biden is okay. We're not in the power position anymore. We need her exactly where she is. Thank you, Lord of the simulation. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you, whoever put Janet Yellen in our sights. She's perfect. We couldn't do better than that little bugger. Couldn't do better. Oh, and by the way, everyone criticizing, Trump-Russia collusion, right? So yesterday, Putin came out with his endorsement for president. And what is it? It's Biden. Putin says, sounding a lot like Janet Yellen, right? So Putin says he's more experienced and predictable person and a politician of the old school, he says, right? But we will work with any U.S. leader, right? So he thinks Biden's the guy to go with. Putin's got your interest in mind, guys. He's going with him, right? So remember, I also said that it looks like, Brett Weinstein said it, Scott Adams has said it, a few people have said it. It looks like Biden has lost his support. It looks like the people who would help him and help hide his dementia, it looks like they're gone, right? The proof would be the shrinkflation video and the eating fried chicken with the black people. But he's got another one, okay? So he tried to do some AIDS thing yesterday, and he was giving an award to Elton John, right? Elton John. And he says, it's his fault we spend so much money on HIV. And then he goes on to mumble the words of how many billions they've spent this month. He's saying they've spent $6 billion. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what he was exactly talking about, but he definitely blamed Elton John for AIDS. It's perfect. It's perfect. Funny enough, you have a lot of people like Brett Weinstein talking about AIDS today. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like AZT was the thing that killed a lot of people. And I don't know much about the Fauci AIDS thing. It sounds like it's as bad as COVID, but I haven't done any deep dives on it, so I don't know. But he did. People are saying they probably should have arrested Elton John for giving everyone AIDS. So you actually blame Elton John for excessive spending on HIV, right? It's too good. It's too good. Really, really too good. And so where's my notes here? I got my order, Kinzinger, Putin supports it, Elton John. Oh yeah. So Trump also came out to talk about, the NATO scams, like that he wants Russia to attack everyone in the world, but he really wants like Sweden to fall to Russia, right? That's what they're trying to peddle. And so he said it again, what would you do? He says basically NATO, Europe has to pay up for NATO. I've had enough of this stuff. And, we forget what a good writer Donald Trump is. And whenever I see one of these examples, I have to do it. There's two today. So this is the one he wrote about Biden yesterday about this NATO thing. This is what he says. This is how Trump defends himself. You can't get better than this. Could somebody please inform our uninformable president that NATO has to pay their bills? They are right now paying a small fraction of what we are for the disaster in Ukraine, which, if we had a real president, would never have happened. There is probably $150 billion difference. They should equalize with the US fast. The European nations, when combined, have approximately the same size economy as we do. They have the money. Pay up. The uninformable. Uninformable. And he has this good one on Nikki Haley. This is what he says about Nikki Haley, right? Imagine having to fight this guy, right? Imagine you're arguing with a guy and this is what he comes up with. Watched Bird Brain in an interview yesterday and she has become a crazed lunatic, totally unhinged. Tricky Nikki is suffering from a terminal disease, Trump derangement syndrome. Not a pretty thing to watch. A terminal disease. It's terminal. And he's going with Tricky Nikki, but I think he stays with Bird Brain. Bird Brain's really good. I use it now. I've been copying Bird Brain all the time. How can you not? It's too good. All right. So we had all these announcements. I could have done a whole Moscow time on just the space nukes, like all the headlines about space nukes. There's a few out there, right? We got space nuke. What are we going to do? Emergency, because there was a big thing yesterday. Clear present danger to American something. We all got to watch out. It's so dangerous. What are we going to do? Space lasers. Here's one of the headlines. They're pretty good. You got some really good ones. We got this one. Russia's pursuit of a space-based nuclear weapon raises national security concerns in Washington. The serious national security threat. This is the stuff that Kinzinger said, right? So So the space lasers ended up falling with a big dud, right? Everyone's like, oh, you forgot your plot from Austin Powers. And a lot of people were commenting about the inability to scare Americans with this, right? Cernovich said, they told us Russia was losing. Now they're saying Russia has advanced alien technology. The money laundering to Ukraine oligarchs must continue. Everyone sees through it. David Sachs also said something of the same sort, right? That no one's buying it. No one's going to fall for this stuff. But here's the fun part, right? So War Clandestine has shared a bunch of fake news headlines from 2 years ago when they were saying Russia was out, that they were falling apart and they were using kitchen appliances to build weapons. So I have a special retro edition of headlines from the beginning of the war to contrast with our new space laser narrative, right? So Putin stirs, this is from Time Magazine, Putin stirs worry that Russia is stripping home appliance imports for arms. Forbes, is Russia really buying home appliances to harvest computer chips for Ukraine-bound weapon systems? You've got the Politico, the chips are down. Putin scrambles for high-tech parts as his arsenal goes up in smoke. Washington Poop writes, sanctions forcing Russia to use appliance parts in military gear, U.S. says, with Western technology sales banned. Russia is using computer chips meant for household appliances and battlefield gear. They need to fire toasters, but actually they have a space laser, guys, a space nuclear weapon, okay? So the fun thing here is that nobody cared and no one is afraid of the fucking space lasers, all right? Marjorie Taylor Greene came out with one of the funniest posts you're ever going to read on this. Now, remember Kinzinger, if he's afraid, I'm afraid. Marjorie Taylor Greene says the following. Are we facing a national security threat? And she says, it's my duty to be honest with you. Yes, it's real. I went to the briefing today in the skiff. And then she says, our president is a dementia patient in charge of our country and the nuclear football who ripped our border wide open to over 10 million people and counting from over 160 countries around the world, and 2 million of them we never caught. However, an unknown number of those are in fact terrorists who want to kill you. Not only that, the administration has empowered the criminal cartels, and they not only control most of our southern border, but are also making tens of billions from human and drug trafficking and have expanded their international operations to have a strong foothold inside the United States. Along with that, the government you trusted with your hard-earned tax dollars has enslaved us all in over $34 trillion in debt. Communist China owns most of our debt, and China makes most of our critical chain supplies, like medications that keep many of you alive. Now, the interest rate on the debt is climbing so fast that the annual interest alone is soon to be bigger than our entire defense budget. Turns out the smart people running the federal government have made so many bad decisions with foreign policy, sanctions, and trade that our dollar is under dire threat and could soon no longer be the world's currency. This means that your 401ks, retirement accounts, stock portfolios, savings could soon be worthless, and your government-mandated Social Security account that most of you depend on in retirement would soon be wiped out. There are just a few of the terrifying top national security threats we face. However, perhaps the greatest threat is the federal government has become so powerful over the people that it leaks intelligence to the press in order to pressure Congress to make certain votes, protect its own power, to spy on its own citizens, maintain power, and protect its own job security, and most terrifying of all, has become weaponized to crush its political enemies. All of this, I'm telling you, didn't come from the skiff. You already know, and I'm depending on you to help me stop our greatest national security threat, the one from within. So now just go back to everything she said and all the lasers. The jig looks up. The jig of fiat, fear, fuel, right? Fuel being the fear for fiat, looks gone. It doesn't look like it works anymore. We had a national security alarm, whatever, yesterday, and everyone went, ah, and everyone kept their sights on who the enemy actually is, the runaway federal government. Now, with the space laser talk and everything, now, I don't know anything about Hawaii and Maui and what happened with the burning and all that stuff, but look at the environment we're in, okay? Last week, I saw pictures and blah, blah, of everyone in Chile painting the roof of their house blue, right? They're painting the roof of their house blue. Why? Why was everyone in a panic painting their house blue? It turns out many people in Chile believe that space lasers are burning like it did in Hawaii. They're burning down areas and torching them, and the only way out of it is with this blue color that will repel the space laser, apparently. Right? I have no idea about any of this stuff, right? But no one ever found out what happened in Hawaii. So you allow this situation where there's zero trust, where there's zero confidence in any of the authorities. And indeed, now what's going on in Chile is massive wildfires everywhere. And so I have no idea about space lasers, none, zero, right? But Kennedy yesterday asking again what happened in Maui. And he said the peculiar part is that the crisis never really brought anyone together, never really answered any questions. It's the most deadly forest fire in the history of America, and we have no answers, right? So he says last August's wildfire in Lahaina caused widespread devastation across Maui. It was among the worst natural disasters Hawaii's ever seen and the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. I visited Lahaina last month and spoke with locals about the hazardous debris, chemicals, and undrinkable water that now plagues the town. The tragic reality is that the fire's cascading environmental impacts and toxic aftermath will likely last for years. The federal and local government's response to the crisis has been woefully inadequate. The mismanagement of the toxic material cleanup is wreaking havoc on Lahaina's residents, farmland, and groundwater, and risks poisoning the local reef. This is the ultimate example of government negligence and ultimate corruption. And this is the important part. After tragedies like Katrina, leaders of both parties set aside differences to find answers and seek solutions. Where is that same commitment to the common good now? Why aren't we prioritizing the health and safety of Americans, our environment, and our communities over spending billions of dollars in foreign wars? The disaster demands a national reckoning to hold officials accountable for their mistakes and to apply Maui's lessons to other vulnerable communities. but a half a year later, that reckoning has yet to come. Indeed, we have I never heard anything about Hawaii after it happened. Nothing, right? It just gone, completely gone. And I go and look. So when you start thinking of, where the threat comes from and who is threatening us, and you think about the environment we're in, the absolute zero trust environment we're in, you start getting things like people painting their houses blue all over Chile. That's where we're at, right? That common people have such little confidence in the people running the show that they'll paint their house blue because they think space lasers are going to kill them. Now, they might, I don't know, right? Maybe that is a correct worry. What's more important for Bitcoiners is the complete lack of trust from the people listening to anything being sold to them about their personal security. People are taking their own personal security into their own hands, which is probably the only way out of this, right? So, and that's why you see yesterday you had this, it was Valentine's Day, everyone, and it turns out that Alex Soros went out with Huma Abedin, right? Huma Abedin, if you don't remember, is Wiener's wife. That was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. And people were questioning, right? She's 47, divorced, kid. He's 38, multi-billionaire. What are they doing together, right? Some people say he's hiding his homosexuality. Who cares? Don't know why he would. But the important thing here is that people, upon seeing this picture, a lot of people started assuming that it was a telegraphed sign signaling some kind of shadow war behind the scenes where Huma Abedin, the Clintons, the Soroses are signaling something to the world by this picture. Now, I don't care about any of that stuff. What I'm saying is, again, we're living in a world where there is absolutely no guiding narrative formation anymore. We're living in a world where people are less and less inclined to believe anything that these people say, and more inclined to start figuring things out for themselves. Now, I don't know. I don't care about Huma Abedin and Alex Soros, right? In so much as I know they're part of this whole scam, but what roles they play today exactly, I don't know, right? We'll find out one day, maybe. But the point is, we're starting to perceive at mass scale where the threat is coming from. And so going back to this top secret binder thing that everyone's talking about today, and this is a Schellenberger scoop. This is the one that shows that the federal government showed its hand and techniques in how they went after Trump in the 2016 Russia collusion case. And I, again, believe that the Russia collusion hoax is key to understanding almost everything that's going on in almost everything that went on in 2020 and today in 2024, which is so funny. When we were talking yesterday about Hillary Clinton making a comeback, it's kind of perfect, right? If she makes a comeback and shows her face, you're tying the narrative threads together and you're presenting a situation that can become a story, therefore much easier to understand than a bunch of accusations in different ways, right? But Schellenberger is writing here that this binder is part of the national security announcement that went out yesterday. It was, some people believed it was related, right? Schellenberger says a missing binder of top secret intelligence about Russia threatens national security, says CNN. But it doesn't, Schellenberger says. And now credible sources say the US government is hiding the binder because it incriminates the intelligence community for illegal spying and election interference. So this is the same one where he said, you might have thought that this is old news or whatever, but it's not, right? The US government is hiding documents that incriminate intelligence community for illegal spying and election interference. Former CIA Director Gina Haspel blocked the release of a binder with evidence that may identify her role in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. And here's the fun part, right? So this is the Schellenberger investigation on this stuff saying that the mystery of the missing binder, how a collection of raw Russian intelligence disappeared under Trump, co-authored by Natasha Bertrand, right? The gargantuan expose blamed, I'm going to remember that name, Natasha Bertrand, because I'm going to come back to her in a second. The gargantuan expose claimed a mysterious binder of highly classified information related to Russian election interference went missing in the chaotic waning days of Donald Trump's presidency in January 2021, raising concerns that some of America's most closely guarded national secrets could be exposed. CNN and its intelligence sources meant exposure in a bad way. Sources have told Public and Racket, however, that the secrets officials worry might be exposed are ones that would implicate them in widespread abuses of intelligence authority dating back to 2015 and 2016. I would call the binder Trump's insurance policy, said someone knowledgeable about the case. He was very concerned about having it and taking it with him because it was the roadmap to Russiagate. Transgressions range from Justice Department surveillance of domestic political targets without probable cause to the improper unmasking of a pre-election conversation between a Trump official and a Saudi Crown Prince MBS to WMD-style manipulation of intelligence for public reports on alleged Russian influence activities. The CNN reports all this bullshit, right? And the story of how a team handpicked by John Brennan relied on cooked intelligence to craft the January 6, 2017 intelligence community assessment is the subject of another story that he'll be publishing, right? Jesse Waters picking up this bombshell new report says the U.S. government is hiding documents that incriminate the deep state for spying on Trump and election interference. And this is Matt Taibbi special. Matt Taibbi, maybe a speaker at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. You can use promo code SpaceDrop if you want to get tickets. Promo code SpaceDrop. There should be a link in the description to buy the tickets directly. We should have Matt Taibbi there. That would be great. So he's a pretty interesting person when it comes to all this stuff. So Natasha Bertrand, just the other day, was promoted to correspondent. Well, she will continue to cover national security and politics across CNN's platforms. Now, remember what Mike Benz has taught us. All you need to know are the players. Who are they? Natasha Bertrand is the woman that helped bring the Fusion GPS story to the forefront. She's the origin and one of the sources of the Russia collusion hoax. She's never had to apologize for being wrong. She's one of these people who gets everything wrong and then gets a promotion, right? So what does that tell you, right? You get everything wrong. You fall for every hoax in the book, every hoax, right? You fall for every one of them. There isn't a single hoax she hasn't fallen for. Every single one that we know is now a hoax. She bought it hook, line, and sinker. She jumped 2 feet in and was like, that's great. Trump's a Nazi, right? She did that every time. He's selling out national security. He said soldiers are suckers and losers, drink bleach, right? She fell for every one of them. Or she didn't fall for them. She peddled them, one or the other. Molly Hemingway writes, CNN is limiting responses to this tweet announcing that it is rewarding Natasha Fusion GPS Bertrand for her work spreading the Russia collusion lie and for writing the story that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. She fell for the Russian disinformation story too. You got to see her face. You got to see her. She's perfect. She's perfect, right? Will she get a space drop? I think so. She's, because of the DEI thing, right? More likely if she wasn't white, but we'll see, right? Because we got to have DEI up in the space drops. There's no way, right? Oh, by the way, I need your help now. I've been blocked in just a few times on Twitter in my life, but stupid Zihan blocked me yesterday for saying the punishment for psyops would be space drops. Can you believe the guy? What a jerk. So if anyone has any dirt on Zihan, I'm going to need it from you. I can't monitor his bullshit anymore. So I need help from the Breakup gang on things that Zihan does. All right. So that's what we got on that. So Natasha Bertrand. Oh, yeah, this is great too. This is an old interview coming up with the former CIA director, right? Talking about Trump's impeachment. And this is just around the time of the beginning of the perfect phone call with Zelensky, right? And he says the following. This is an exact quote. He says, "Thank God for the deep state because they caught him doing this," right? So this is who we're up against. This is who we're up against. And now when you start thinking of, that's what made the Russia space missile thing yesterday so funny, is that it came the moment the funding for Ukraine was drying up, right? It didn't look like they're going to pass the bill. Speaker Johnson said dead on arrival. They're not going to be able to allocate to Ukraine. So Glenn Greenwald picks up on the connection here, right? First of all, you get Natasha Bertrand, who is the person who came out with the story yesterday, right? So it is Natasha Bertrand. She comes out, right? Fusion GPS, she says once. Russia, Hunter laptop is Russian disinformation. She's a Russia expert, right? Of course, she's an expert on Russia. And then yesterday, she's the one who comes out with the report, destabilizing foreign military capability, right? That's her report that we were talking about. She's the space laser person, right? So Glenn Greenwald picks up on it, and he says, ever since Biden demanded $60 billion more for Ukraine and it looked difficult to attain, I kept saying I've rarely ever seen the military-industrial complex fail to get whatever it wants. They always win in D.C. As the $60 billion for Ukraine looks imperiled, CNN magically reports this, right? So it looks like that's what's going on here. Now, the spying piece has a pretty interesting connection yesterday as well to what was going on in the American Congress. So it's not just that the Natasha Bertrand case came out and Schellenberger was writing about Russia collusion and all of this stuff with the FISA reports and implicating U.S. authorities in spying on a presidential candidate, right? Which they used to say was Trump's biggest lie before they called the big lie of January 6th and the election was on. It used to be that his election was spied on. That was the one they had before. But yesterday they were talking about FISA stuff, right? And FinCEN and FinTrack and all these people. And Tom Emer was there talking about stupid Elizabeth Warren stuff, right? Saying, today I asked Treasury's head of FinCEN and OFAC about the Wall Street Journal's reporting on Hamas's digital asset fundraising campaign. Undersecretary Nelson confirmed on the record that the Wall Street Journal's numbers were inaccurate and that crypto was not even a popular tool for Hamas terrorists. So that was that part, right? And then you had Mike Lee talking about the FISA reforms and the Intel bros demanding that the warrantless backdoor searches of Americans continue, right? So as you get the story with FinCEN and you get the story with FISA warrants and spying on people, so financial spying, literal spying and tapping phones, as you get all of this and you start to understand the where threats really come from, right? And we start to realize we know, but more and more people are waking up to the threat being the actual federal government, exactly as Marjorie Taylor Greene described, right? So when you start adding these things up and you start realizing that the combination of this, the combination of all these things is that they will not be able to use this trick of fear-based manipulation much longer because people are starting to fear them much more. And I think the perfect example of it was yesterday with the Gensler thing in Squawk Box. Did everyone see this? So yesterday, Gary Gensler, right? Now, remember, the whole context is important, right? The whole context of where Americans are at as far as who we're afraid of, what the threats are, who are concocting the things that are actually decreasing American health, wealth, and capacity in the world. So Gary Gensler goes on CNBC yesterday to talk Bitcoin, right? And what does he say, right? So first of all, he says it's not decentralized anymore because exchanges who control what percentage of Bitcoin do the exchanges hold now? Like 5, 10, maybe, right? Like hardly anything. Most of the Bitcoin is off exchanges. That's like a problem the exchanges have to deal with all the time. That was something I used to write about all the time when I was a strategist at Kraken, right? When the last market, as the market was going up, I started talking a lot internally about the migration of Bitcoin off exchanges and that it was a good thing, but that there were ways to still run a business that was profitable in exchange of Bitcoin for other things. And so this is something everyone in the industry knows. And he's out here saying, oh, no, right? The exchanges are centralized. So that didn't go anywhere, right? You had all the autistic Bitcoiners picking up on it. Zach Vole says, Gary Gensler set a world record for COPE. Watch him literally argue that Bitcoin is not decentralized because the market trades on large centralized exchanges. And then he came out and tried to argue that the banks go bankrupt that touch Bitcoin too much. That was his new thing, right? Now, the banks that went bankrupt were chosen, right? Go back to when it actually started. And if you listen to Nick Carter, for example, describe Operation Choke Point 2.0, it was to literally target the only banks that got closed down with the duration mismatch of the bond purchases that happened last year. The bank run and the confidence and deposits that happen at Silicon Valley Bank, at Signature Bank, those instances were, and the reason why those were identified was because they were touching crypto. A lot of people believed that the reason why other banks were given the emergency loan and they weren't was because they wanted to root out their crypto associations. So there's a lot of people who believe that, right? I don't have proof, but Gensler can't say the following because anyone who did look into the nuts and bolts of it realized that the banks that went bankrupt because there was choices made. And those choices were not available to other banks who were in the exact same fiscal spot. That's why Balaji, that's why all kinds of folks who are talking about the balance sheet sickness on American banks, that they're basically all bankrupt because of what the toxic assets they have on their balance sheet. Without the stimulus package of the BTFD thing, it wouldn't have happened, right? More of these banks would have been blown up, just like the crypto banks. They were given life support while the banks that banked crypto companies weren't. That's a major distinction, right? A major distinction. But the best part of it, right? The best part of it is that Gary Gensler tried to make an argument that the reconciliation of the database in Bitcoin was the actual shitty part, and that there's no difference between an Oracle centralized database and Bitcoin. He went with that, okay? So he tried to sit there and say, there's no real advantage with the database management system, right? So Gensler downplaying Gensler downplaying people who make investment based on how the books and records are kept. It's mind-blowing. The Bitcoin network is the most important accounting ledger technology in history and the first innovation in the last 700 years. This interview makes no sense. So he literally came out and argued that the discovery of the Bitcoin-based proof of work public ledger was like Oracle. It's just fine, right? Now, here's where things get really fun, because again, him not understanding he understands, right? But him going with that point of view, him going with that idea and arguing that the database innovation in Bitcoin, the decentralized nature of proof of work in action and miners reconciling a database that's global around the world, why we acknowledge every day that it's running, is a not just a feat of math and cryptography. It's a feat of artificial intelligence. We've grown an organism without any corporate body in charge of it. It just grows. This is a form of life. And he's sitting there and saying, So it's perfect. And then he goes on to say, when he starts arguing with Joe Kernan, and now Joe Kernan modeling exactly what most Wall Street people have experienced over the past few years, right? I used to go on that show, and Joe Kernan hated Bitcoin in 2017. Now he's like, well, what if you want to de-risk from the government, right? Him there describing the Wall Street point of view is, why the hell should we get caught up in all of your politics and all of your printing and all of your debasement and all of your political money? Why should we get caught up in that? Why can't we de-risk? Right? So he asked the question straight up. And of course, Gensler couldn't come up with an answer. That's when he reverted to the, my brain is broken and it's actually an Oracle database. So he's done, right? And just look at who, these are the people we're up against, guys. It's Janet Yellen telling you that Joe Biden is super alert and aware, okay? It's Gary Gensler telling you Bitcoin is an Oracle database, like Oracle, the technology, not an Oracle, but like the same as any centralized database. They're not sending us their best, and this stuff won't make anyone afraid. Joe, a Wall Street guy, told him, pound cement, dude. Like, your shit sucks. No one is paying attention to you. This is dumb. You're not making any good points. Zero effectiveness, zero persuasion. The amount of fear Gary Gensler was able to induce yesterday was the same amount that my 5-year-old daughter is able to produce when she threatens me with something that I didn't give her. That's it. Like, when I laugh at my children because they didn't get what they want and they threaten me or get angry or anything, that was the reaction that I had, right? Just like the reaction to the space lasers. Right? Where did Dr. Evil come from? Why is he in this show? Right? Why is Austin Powers storylines now coming into our destruction of fiat? Well, it's only natural. It's only natural that the death of fiat, which is requires the fear-based fuel, right? Fiat, fear, fuel, in order to get the thing going. If they can't have the fear, there's no fuel, and then there's no fiat. That's what we're left with. And Americans are understanding where the threat comes from. That's why I don't care about Taylor Swift and all this shit. Politics in this era of change have been boiled down to just personal security decisions. It's true that fear is one of the main catalysts for decision making. It's 100% true. We don't make decisions rationally. We do make them from fear. They're right to hit the fear button, but when they can't induce the fear, they're powerless. When you start perceiving what threats really are, when you start realizing, exactly as Marjorie Taylor Greene said, the threat is the US government, then things become much clearer. And that's really how fiat is going to die, right? That's why I've been predicting it dies quickly, because we gave too much power to these people over years to win World War II. We built a war machine based on this money in order to get us to where we are, and it worked for a little while, but it doesn't work anymore. And interestingly, you know, that's why I still remain so grateful that RFK has put his hat in his name, you know, into the ring here, because his family is largely responsible for a lot of this stuff. They're involved in a lot of this. Now, I'll go back to him dying, the uncle dying, right? Now, we can call him a hero all we want, and he probably was, right? I'm a big fan of JFK, big fan. But there were problems with his presidency, right? And the problems begin with this fear-based thing with the military. Now, remember, when he ran against Richard Nixon in 1960, Nixon was Eisenhower's vice president. Eisenhower did not believe in an arms race. He did not believe there was something called a missile gap, right? That's what the theory was, that Russia was building too many missiles and America wasn't keeping up. So that's where the military-industrial speech comes from, because the 60 campaign was run on Kennedy saying that there's a missile gap, Russia is going to outperform us in military spending, and we're going to get killed, right? So what happens with Kennedy is he goes on and on about this and stokes a bunch of fear about Russia-based missiles. Nixon says it's not true, right? We have nothing to fear. We're America. We could whip their ass in 10 split seconds. Nixon understood that California alone, he was a Californian. He knew California itself could destroy Russia. He didn't even need America. He could go with just California, and they would have enough armaments, power, money. The economy of California was bigger than that of Russia, right, or Soviet Union. So it wouldn't have been hard. He understood that because he worked for Eisenhower. He understood from Eisenhower that the military being in charge of things is going to be bad for America. Now, the military couldn't control America when Eisenhower was there because Eisenhower controlled the military. He was the supreme commander, right? That was his title, the supreme commander. So the supreme commander of the military was not going to let them bully him. He knew exactly what was wrong with them. So when Kennedy won, Eisenhower complained, was it all for nothing? Like, did everything I do just go away? He spent his presidency fighting against military power growing. And Nixon joined that. Nixon understood exactly how it worked because he learned from Eisenhower. And then you get, and which is why I love the Vivek Trump connection, right? It's almost a replay. It's a do-over of the Eisenhower-Nixon 1950 presidency. Because what happens with Kennedy is he uses the military spenders. They're a big part of his campaign. That's how they come into the Democrat Party. They're not getting any play with the Republicans. They come in that way. But then he says, and then he also, you know, the mob helped them, right? We know election stealing begins in his presidency. So he invites all these people in to help him. Now, I'm not saying Kennedy wants what these people want. He wanted power like everyone else, so you can understand it. Doesn't change that he was a good guy or a bad guy or what's going on with him. I still love John F. Kennedy, so I don't have a problem with the choices he made. He didn't understand the ramifications. He invited the fox into the henhouse. All right, he did. He invited the fox into the henhouse. He invited many foxes into the henhouse in order to help him win. He realized what he had done at a certain point and started pushing them away, but it was too late. They killed him. From then on, we do not have civilian control of the United States and the military. From then on, it's something else. So seeing RFK come back here, that's how I made these predictions, that he would get involved in this election simply because we got to go tie up that story. That narrative of 1960 has a role in understanding what's happening now in 2024. And not many people understand that other than him. Because again, where the FISA stuff comes from and where the banking stuff comes from is after they kill his uncle. After that, they start running the psyops with Gulf of Tonkin within weeks, right? They begin the Vietnam War within weeks because he wasn't going to do it. He let the Fox in and didn't have the ability to kick them out. Now, I think RFK understands that. I think RFK doesn't think his uncle was perfect, right? He was great. I don't have to change my opinions about what he did that was great. But he let the Fox into the henhouse and they haven't left since. And it's a major problem. And that he's here is almost his punishment, right? His family has to help clean this fucking mess up, right? They do, despite all the crazy shit they've gone through. So, and I believe he can. I believe he's the right person to do a big part of this. And when he talks about Hawaii, and I love that the environmental lawyer piece of it is a big part of it, because indeed that's a good trajectory for him to enter the conversation on. So now that we have this understanding of where the threat comes from, and he would know it better. I mean, he knows who killed his dad. He knows who killed his uncle. I don't think he needs any more lessons on how evil these people really are, right? I think he gets it. So that's why we're coming to this thing where we understand that the ability to lie, cheat, and steal, to manipulate the system through fear, has been exhausted. You can still manipulate a system through fear. It's just, what should we be afraid of? And we're deciding to be afraid of the appropriate risk, which is the same risk that killed Kennedy's uncle, his dad, and that continues to call him a conspiracy theorist. Remember what I said? That they wouldn't be able to call him a conspiracy theorist? Was I right? They try. It never works, right? He can just brush it off. He's the one person that can brush it off, right? So that's why Guy Swan says the following. The really funny thing here is that literally all of our money today is just an accounting ledger. The difference between fiat and Bitcoin in that regard is that Bitcoin is a ledger that verifiably can't be cheated, while fiat banking ledgers have no assurances of any kind. In that context, if you were choosing between a clearly insolvent bank and a bank that provably could be insolvent, would that affect your investment decision? Well, again, everyone is starting to realize where threats come from, what threatens them, what's a risk, and the actual fear, the perception of fear, is now being properly prescribed to all of the brain breakers and people who are out there. So what do we got in the comments, right? Gensler was... Yeah, Austin says there are a lot of exchanges. Yeah, exactly. How do you like the Rumble thing, guys? Is it working for you? Is it a different experience? Let me know. I know some of you might have missed. It was a good thumbnail today. I'm going to probably have to go back and put it in deliberately on YouTube. Yeah, pure propaganda. Yeah, we love it, huh? So what do we get here on the thing? It still isn't registering any Rumble people. I can't explain why. All banks are insolvent and their balance sheets are toxic sludge. Yeah, exactly, Jose. I'm going to have to figure out this comment thing. I don't like the interface here. Yeah, he applied for a job. He applied for a job with me at CoinDesk, guys. Before he got announced, he was writing for CoinDesk. The Bitcoin network is alive. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, he doesn't believe in himself. Yes, I agree. Bitcoin graffiti. That's. But so what I'm saying is his ability to manipulate based on what he's lying about is zero. Like, he's not good at that, right? The great reduction. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm having trouble with the it's been like that. Thanks for the comment, Veterans Cannabis. We appreciate it, right? I don't know, prophetic, but we try and think deeply about this stuff. Yeah, I don't think he believes in himself, Bitcoin graffiti. Yeah, I don't think he does. But he got the job done. But he was forced to. He got sued into it. He had no choice. I mean, remember what the federal courts told him when Barry Silbert brought him to court, right? So, I mean, this is very, very corrupt stuff. All right, let's see what people are saying on Rumble. Well, it says we got 200 and something people, which is great. Everyone start moving over to the other Rumble too. Go to the Breakup Rumble channel. It says I've only got 8 people on that one. I got to get the 200 from here over there over the next few weeks. Go. Let's do it live. Yeah. Oh no, Twitter XChat disabled. No privileges, points a few say. Morning bigots. Yeah, we're super bigoted here. Hey, that's fascist of you, says Biomanism. I am going to figure out how to get all of the, like I said, the Rumble thing. I'm supposed to have, the other good thing about this platform is I can actually have guests. So I might have a guest one day. We'll see if people get up at this time, but that could be fun, a little conversation. Trying new stuff out, guys. Trying new stuff out. All right. Hunter cuts Janet Yellen's hair. That's why she is sticking up for him, like that old Saucy says. He who holds the bowl makes the cut. Words of wisdom. Old Saucy says, space is fake. Yep. Is Rumble Studio any good? Does it make your streaming easier? Sluggo 123. Not quite yet. I mean, I don't know about easier. It was pretty easy. But it's a first time here. And again, it's better than it was. Rumble had shit. So the studio is an upgrade. I wouldn't have used I wouldn't have just done a Rumble thing before in their studio. I always ran it through the pipes from Restream. So it might save me a step in production, but I'm not sure. Frazzle Drip is what they are. Yeah, Frazzle Drip doesn't look like not good, huh? Gorlock GT. That's it. I'm becoming a Bitcoiner. Get in there, boy. We need it. National security. Get back to me when your borders are secured. Lance says 200 and something on Rumble. Yeah. What's the name of your other Rumble channel? So C Berger 17. It is, maybe if you put a link in the new channel would help the migration. I will do that, Old Saucy. Good idea. It should just be the Breakup. You should be able to find it on the Breakup. I think that's it. It says I've got 11 in here now. So a few of you indeed have ported over. But I think it's going to work just fine. So we're going to try this for a little bit. We're going to try this. This looks like a better setup. I can do presentations. I think maybe a little easier. All right, there's like a presentation thing here. What does this do when I hit that? Nothing. Okay, but it means that I can do, okay, there's a duo one. Okay, here's some Rumble. I watch Fire TV in my office and the chat doesn't come through on Rumble like on YouTube's. Yeah, works good on Rumble. I may migrate my viewing here. That'd be great. I want all the people in Rumble to migrate over. We're going to keep doing it on this channel until we migrate it over. Right? We want to migrate. We want to migrate it. My plan is to migrate it, and I'm going to add the audio. I'm going to add the audio. What do you call it? Podcast versions in the next couple of weeks. So I know I've said that for a while, but I'm actually going to do it. The Rumble account here has me excited. So I'm going to try and build the Rumble thing. YouTube just sucks because, like I said, I like adding new subscribers, but stupid YouTube, you can't find it. I mean, they do a hell of a job. I'll have to switch to Rumble from here on out. Yeah, well, like I said, now that I can get, so that I'm getting, whoops, no, that's not what I wanted. 1 second. I don't know what I just did. Need lightning tipping on Rumble. No kidding. Yeah. So now that let me see. Yeah, see, this says Rumble comment. So these are from my Rumble channel. Yeah, I bet there is a slight delay. That makes sense. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I can see your comments from my Rumble channel, the Breakup one where I'm broadcasting. I have to add the Bitcoin Magazine one the old-fashioned way, which was the stream key, which is fine. That's what I always did on Restream. And the comments from that are not coming in. But there's ads here that was drawing. Are there really ads? I didn't know that. I didn't know there were ads. I may go on to locals too, which I think will be no ads, but I think you have to pay for that. I'm not sure. I haven't really, I set up a Rumble, but I set up a locals, but I've never used it. I will do that for some time. All right, team, that's all I got for today. Didn't see an ad. Okay, well, we're going to keep experimenting, guys. I appreciate your patience today while I experimented. Why a new channel? I was always kind of borrowing off of the Bitcoin Magazine one, but it's not my channel. It's their channel. And I think we've gone up since I started broadcasting. I think I've got them about 35,000 subscribers, and I'm pretty much the only thing broadcasting on Rumble on Bitcoin Magazine. So I'm not going to say it's all me, but it's a lot of me. Rumble says I need KYC to chat. I didn't know that, Robert. We're not shutting down YouTube, so don't worry, guys. We're not shutting down YouTube or X or anything like that. So we're not really making a new channel. It's just I always just piggybacked off of the Rumble one. Sorry, the Bitcoin Magazine one. But this show is not really Bitcoin Magazine's show. This is my show. I just put it on Bitcoin Magazine. They do nothing, like they don't pay me to do the show. They don't. It's my show, right? I just put it on their channel. So it's my show. I would rather the subscribers for myself, frankly. And so, you know what? If ever they want to do something with the channel, it's not for me to decide. I was there when we set it up, but it's still Bitcoin Magazine's channel. So I'm happy to help them get subscribers. If they use them, great. But it's not, you know, it doesn't do anything for me in the long run. So I like the subscribers myself. So that's why I feel motivated to do it. You have to remember follow in order to come on once you quit from the other channel. Yeah. Following is important because that's what Big Baby G says. It's probably harder to find after. I don't even think I'm subscribed to my own channel. I got to do that. Yeah, it's to be independent. Yeah. Once you switch is what I meant to say. Okay, got it. Yeah. No, so the show already is independent. You know what I mean? It just was a way to bootstrap. They already had like 30,000 subs when I started broadcasting every day on their channel, which is quite a bit already, right? We used to do the old Bitcoin Magazine live show in the old days on Rumble, and that's what built the channel up to 30. I took it from 30 to 57 or whatever we're at now is the only thing broadcasting on it. Yeah, backup options. Yeah, Robert. Like I said, we're going to be still using the old YouTube. So if it doesn't please you, if it's annoying, look, I'm not. You're not here to do me a favor, right? We're here to hang out and have coffee and talk about the news and have a good time. So if you want to watch it on YouTube, you go ahead. I want to be able to avoid. I want to be able to avoid this thing where I have to go back between the comments and then you guys can't see some of the comments. So that was part of why I decided to prioritize this. So, and I think it's important to me to do it that way. Does Breakup Crew know about orange pill application? I think so. Tell them, hold on. Let them know if you want to put a link in here. To the way Russell Brand does his show, because he starts on YouTube with YouTube approved style and then switches to Rumble to talk about things that would otherwise be banned. Yeah, that is good. I mean, I've never got a strike on YouTube. They tried. I'm a lawyer, so I fought it. I figured it out and fought it, and won. But that's the closest they've ever come. But yeah, I like that. You know, what's this and that. If I do an exclusive Rumble show one day, then then, which I might do, then I'll keep some of the spicier stuff. I'm thinking about doing a short afternoon one day, or not one day, every day, but starting it one day. Veterans, so I do have the app. Yeah, people saying they do have the Orange Pill app. All right, team. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your patience today with the new studio and all of that stuff. I appreciate it. We had a good audience, and we're not afraid of space nukes and space lasers, so that's a plus. Enjoy your day, everyone. Enjoy your day. Orange Pill application in store online for, yeah. Jimmy Dore does the same. Yeah, I like Jimmy Dore. But again, the other exciting thing is I'm told, and what I've seen is this Rumble Studio finally figured out what's my username on my username is, I think, just CountBTC or the Breakup. I think I have 2 Rumble pages, personal and show, but I think I'm broadcasting here on show, I think. All right, team. That's what I got. Enjoy your day, everyone. Don't be afraid of space lasers.